It's May 29, 2021. I'm here again on the YE channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon with another lesson. And this one is titled Multidemic Lockdown or Prophecy. I'm looking at Isaiah chapter 24. And we know Isaiah 24 talks about every house is shut up, and it seems like it's talking about this whole series of lockdowns that we've had in this past, I don't know, year and a half or so, this worldwide virus. And let's take a look at it here. Now, we're getting lockdowns now, but in the 1918 influenza pandemic, there were lockdowns then as well. If we look at that situation there, the people living at that time would have said, oh, Isaiah 24, prophecy being fulfilled. So when you look at now 2019, 2020, and now 2021, with this virus, they say from Wuhan, China, is this the fulfillment of prophecy? Or was it the one that other people lived through in 1918, when houses were shut up? Because see, that was one pandemic, this is another one. It more looks to me like a multidemic situation that's grabbing this prophecy in Isaiah 24, all houses are shut up, by the throat. So which one does it apply to? Now, if the prophecy of every house is shut up was fulfilled in the minds of people in 1918, when they had the lockdowns then how is it we're going through another lockdown, every house is shut up here, in 2021 now? How is that the lockdown? 1918, people reading the Bible would have been saying, this is it now, the end of the world. Just like now, people are saying that. So how do we know which one is the fulfillment? Or is this just a gimmick? Like I've titled this, Multidemic Lockdown or Prophecy. A lockdown spanning more than one pandemic, and you got the same word in the book in Isaiah chapter 24. Because if it fulfilled in 1918, we shouldn't be going through this right now in 2021. So let's take a look at some of this from Isaiah chapter 24. We'll just consider some of the verses, not all of them. Yeah, so let's look at a couple of verses from Isaiah 24. Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. So he's starting out the chapter, and we know he didn't write in chapters or so on. It's just the way that they set up the Bible in modern times, to break them up in chapters. But they're starting out the chapter for us to let us know that by the time these things run their course, the earth will be empty, destroyed, it will be waste. It's turned upside down, he says. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with the master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower. So things are going to kind of normalize. The distinction is going to be gone between different groups of people and so on in certain ways. As with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord hath spoken this word. Now, so you see the problem starting to come in now. He said it will be utterly. Verse 4, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away, the haughty people of the earth do languish. Now, I don't know about where you're at, but where is the utterly in all of this? Because the land will be utterly emptied and spoiled because God spoke this. So it seems to me, like I said in my other lesson, titled Trigger Happy, like the elites and certain teachers trying to say this is it now and setting up this whole prophecy fulfillment without telling you that's what they're doing to trick people. But the land is going to be utterly emptied. It said, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. Now, when something is fading away, it's just going away and it's just done for. It's gone away from you. Like when the sun is going away at the end of the day and you're not going to see it anymore till tomorrow because it's just going away and night is coming in. So, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. It's going away from you. So, it's not going to be like it always was. The world languisheth and fadeth away. So now, if the world is languishing, why is it that I'm seeing so much building up and construction, road construction? Because like I said, I don't know about where you're at, but where I'm at here, from the very first lockdown, they say stay at home order in effect. They started doing massive work on certain roads and highway construction and, repairing bridges as if the world is not fading away. Repairing bridges because people are going to be using the bridges later on after the lockdown. Lots of road stuff. It was just people doing renovations inside their houses, in their homes, and new business places starting up. There are some stores and so on, and even new restaurants and so on, built up. Plaza strips and so on, filling up with new renovations and new buildings added. That didn't exist before the lockdown. So it's a more building up, like more life is coming. They expect this. But it says the world is fading away. So this doesn't seem to me to be the fulfillment of Isaiah 24. So like I said, consider it in this multidemic lockdown from 1918 and lockdown in 2020, 2021, because both of these pandemics have lockdowns and people are going on with their lives after and just rebuilding like they did after 1918. People were rebuilding their lives until now, and now this lockdown and people are getting ready to rebuild their lives, building up businesses and looking for more opportunities and so on, although there's still lots of struggles and so on. But you can see with all these renovations and building up of stuff and so on, and the funding from the government for this and that sector and so on, it's like it doesn't seem like the fading away yet, but it's going to have to come eventually. So if this is it, then I guess this is it. It just seems kind of strange is what I'm saying. Now let's look here in verse 6, still Isaiah 24 verse 6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burnt, and few men left. So in this Isaiah 24 prophecy, this is a part of the curse, right? That includes that every house is shut up. So is this it, or was this fulfilled in 1918 in the multidemic situation here? Because it says as part of all of this stuff with the lockdowns that every house is shut up and the different parts of this curse and so on, the earth is burnt and few men left. There were lots of men left after the 1918 influenza pandemic, Lots of men are still left on the earth even throughout all these lockdowns where every house was shut up. And now we're trying to come out of it now, after people have gotten their jobs and so on. Many men are still left on the earth. So whoever is teaching that this is it, Isaiah 24 fulfillment, is just, it doesn't quite fit. That's just what I'm saying. So consider it again. Because you see, I think people don't understand that when the real move of God comes, and you see this stuff happen, it's not going to be so sweet and pleasant. It's not going to be. You look at when the punishments, the judgments were happening upon the Israelites in the Bible, and some foreign nation is coming after them. The picture I get when I read the Old Testament is that there was just massive mayhem and screaming and just people fleeing, running through the back part of the city or whatever, trying to escape with their life if possible. There's no sense staying to fight this one anymore and so on. And just mayhem, total destruction, devastation is just like chaos. You can still be there now through this pandemic or this multidemic, collecting your government check and living nice, and you know, you're ordering in your food because you can't sit in a restaurant now, and you're going to the supermarket as happy as ever, rolling down your drop top and so on, and going through the city and so on, and you're still doing whatever little shopping is out there that you can do and so on. That don't look like the end. You're getting a check coming in from the government. That don't look like the end. You see, the real end is when governments can't send you anything anymore. So it looks like that is still ahead of us. Is when it can't, you know, we're not gonna, because the Creator is destroying the whole city, because it said the earth is fading away. All kinds of systems are being disrupted, dismantled. Chaos. All right, now let's look at verse 8. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Now this happened as well in the 1918 multidemic. And it's happening here now. I mean, that's what people would say, that it happened back then in 1918 and it happened now. But let's look at it again. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, noise of them that rejoice endeth. But, I mean, I've heard many people getting tickets and getting getting charges laid on them and so on, because they're rejoicing and having fun and parties and so on in their houses and apartments, and neighbors having to report them and so on, and you know, people being arrested even in parks and so on, that the police coming to and find them, that they're gathering and having fun, enjoying the music, and they're playing the loud music and drinking their wine and so on, having fun in the middle of this multidemic. So did it get fulfilled, this prophecy in 1918, or in this part of the multidemic in 2020 and 2021? See, it says it ceaseth, all this fun stuff and joy of the harp, the music and so on. But now the joy of the harp and the music and so on is still there. You have even some makeshift mini concerts going on in different places, and for the most part, online or virtual concerts where people are writing new music and putting them out online and having the concerts from a certain venue or and so on, or from their houses and so on, putting out new music and making money because they managed to put out a hit song or two or so in the multidemic. So the noise of the music is still going on, but this says at this time when this prophecy is being fulfilled, the noise of the music will be ended. The noise of the harp ceaseth. So Isaiah 24 is not talking so far about the 1918 and the 1920 multidemic, because the music is still not ceasing, the partying is still going on and so on. People are getting tickets and paying for them, if, I guess if they can, or however they're going to work that out. But it's still going on. So obviously the prophecy has not been fulfilled. For those, I'm just letting you be aware, for those who are teaching that this is the prophecy being fulfilled. It is not. Maybe in the future, yes, but not right now and not in 1918. Now let's run down to verse 11. Well, quickly, verse 9. They shall not drink wine with a song. Yeah, people are drinking wine with song. Like I said, wherever you're at is where you're at. But where I'm at, the Prime Minister here in Canada, and whoever else is with them in the government doing all this stuff, the health officials, beer stores, liquor stores are staying open. Why? Because people need that during this time. That's what they said. So people were still able to buy their beers and their liquor and so on, their wine. But verse 9 says they shall not drink wine with a song, but they're drinking the wine with the song, singing, having their parties and making merry and so on. So this is not no fulfillment of Isaiah 24, every house is shut up, and all these different conditions being fulfilled in this multidemic 1918 and 2019 to 2021. So verse 10, the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. People are still going to houses. So this says no man coming in now. People still going to houses. Still. And even in 1918, people were still leaving their houses. All those. Verse 11, there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. People weren't crying out for wine in the streets during this multidemic here, 2020, 2021. Because they weren't missing it. It was freely available. They know, run to the liquor store, the beer store, and they can just buy it. But when the real lockdown comes to fulfill the multidemic prophecy, that stuff won't be sold like a lot of other goodies that you want. You're gonna be just going by bare necessities, trying to scrape through and make do. You won't have time for the finer things like trying to go for wine. But this is saying here that, there's a crime for wine in the streets. That isn't happening now. People can get wine easily. The wine supply has not been cut off. It's still around. So they're not crying out, hey, we need some wine, some wine, some wine. Now, verse 20 says, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. They rose after the Isaiah 24, every house is shut up, locked down in 1918. They rose again. The earth rose after that. And in 2019, 2020, 2021, all this stuff is going on to give people jobs and so on, and reopening plans to reopen communities and so on, reopen lockdowns and so on. They are reopening again to go on with life. But verse 20 just said that when this prophecy is fulfilled, that the earth would have been removed so far because of all the transgressions, it shall fall and not rise again. But people are starting to rise again out of their beds and from off their couches and going back to their jobs. One person just told me today, they're back to work. They're going back into the office. And they said, every day they're going into the office again now. Right? So this says it shall fall and not rise. So how come people go back to work and the earth is rising again after this lockdown? Now it's rising, coming back out of the lockdown from the multidemic. This is not no Isaiah 24 fulfillment that we're living in. Something is not right. That means it is coming. And if you think this was bad and 1918 that we read about was bad, that we've heard about was bad, wait till the real one, because if people were complaining and so on with this multidemic, it's going to be quite a thing when the real multidemic gets here from Isaiah 24, if you believe this stuff in the Bible. Right? So, yeah, it shall fall and not rise. Now let's look at 21 and 22. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. Have they been punished, the kings of the earth, since the 1918 multidemic? And are they punished here now, the kings of the earth, the rulers of the world, in this current multidemic? No, they're not. They're running the show and giving you a multi-check to help you through this and whatever and so on. And you're taking the job, so you got to get check and whatever. Now they're reopening things and so on. They're not punished. They're going on to carry on with the next stage of whatever their plans are, to reopen stuff more and so on, and whatever else they're going to come with upon the public. So if this is fulfilled, it should have been done. And if it was fulfilled even in the 1918 multidemic, then in 100 years, or 101 years now, if you deal with 2019, 1918 to 2019, certainly in so much time, these high ones should have been punished already. It never happened, and it's not happening now. The high ones are not being punished. They're living it up as they do these things to the public, so, and move the public through this series of lockdowns and so on. Reopen and lockdown, reopen, lockdown. That means this prophecy has not yet been fulfilled yet. It has not yet been fulfilled. You got another thing coming. Verse 22, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered, these high ones and the rulers and so on, right, that's doing all this evil in the world. They'll be gathered together in the pit and shall be shut up in the prison after many days. And after many days shall they be visited. All this stuff hasn't happened. So if this was fulfilled in the 1918 multidemic, why are they not in the pit still, or why weren't they pulled out of the pit and dealt with? So something is really wrong. So last verse in verse 23, then the moon shall be confounded and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem and before his ancients gloriously. Was the moon confounded in 1918 and in this 2020 multidemic from Wuhan, China? Were the luminaries confounded? You know, the moon confounded and the sun ashamed? No, because sun and moon still doing their regular stuff and so on. And the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion. He wasn't reigning in Mount Zion last year and this year. He's not reigning in Mount Zion. And he wasn't reigning and set up in Mount Zion after the 1918 multidemic either. Alright? He's not reigning before his ancients in Jerusalem, which means Isaiah 24 is not a fulfillment of the 2020 and the 1918 multidemics. Check the teachings again and look at it one more time. It's coming in the future if this stuff is real. Like my channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, and thanks again for listening. Multidemic lockdown or prophecy, you decide.